Oh, hey guys, I'm on the road back to Dayton, and this is actually a really good place for me to address one of the questions that was asked yesterday at the Progressive Women's Association. A teenager asked what Clarksburg City Council can do to make the city greener. The answers to this may not be obvious to some people, because in the current environment, people always want to talk about things like solar or green energy, and the answers are really a lot more basic, simple, and old than that. For example, I think the largest source of CO2 emission today is the constant tilling of ground for agriculture, and there are things that farmers can do to reduce the amount of tilling that's necessary. But Clarksburg doesn't have a lot of farmland, so we have to look elsewhere. One of the things Clarksburg City Council can do right away is to start moving toward reducing the need to drive so much. The automobile is an enormous source of pollution. And when we make communities that are not walkable, communities where you have to drive to get everything, we're encouraging more fossil fuels to be burned. We don't need to have every business have its own parking lot. If you can park somewhere, drive somewhere, and park once and walk 5 places, that's a lot better for the environment. And better yet would be to have a neighborhood grocery store that people can walk to instead of having to drive their car and idle and sit in traffic in East Point for so long. And also, parking lots, are usually made of concrete and asphalt, and there's an environmental cost to those things, and they create runoff that a lot of time is polluted by gasoline, motor oil, antifreeze, and things like that. And overall, we could start working right now to make the town more walkable and make it so that people don't have to use their cars as much just to get by. Electric cars here are being touted as a great alternative, and they're better, I guess, than an internal combustion engine. But 50% of the total CO2 emissions over the lifetime of a car come in its creation. Just the forging of steel and things like that require an enormous amount of energy. And also the cobalt that is used for batteries in cars, most of it comes from the Congo and is mined by hand. And a lot of times it's mined by hand by children using tactics and techniques that were outlawed in Europe and the Americas 200 years ago. Another thing we can do to reduce greenhouse emission is to rehab houses versus tearing them down. Over the lifetime of a house, 3/4 of the energy is expended in constructing the house. That's cutting the trees down and cutting it into lumber. That's baking bricks. That's mining copper and smelting it into wire and coating that wire with rubber, and then transporting all this across the country. Building a house is the most intense use of energy over the life of the house. And the second most intense is the demolition of it. We can deconstruct houses, we can rehab houses, we can reuse the materials of houses that we demolish if we owned them. That would make us a much more green community. And these are all things that we should be doing. We can also become a more green community by having a farmer's market and encouraging local, sustainable, green agriculture in our community. And all of these things should not be controversial. They are not leftist ideas. They are ideas that people all across the spectrum can agree on, and they're common sense, and they're totally in line with the things that we want to do, is having an entertainment district downtown, a walkable shopping district. All of this interrelates and feeds off of each other. It just makes sense. It's the way human beings lived for millennia before we had cars. We can, at least make that possible to live that way. And in the long run, it will pay off and create a substantially more green city with cleaner water, cleaner air, and healthier people. I will holler at you later. Take care.